Exodus 22, property rights. If a man steals an ox or sheep and kills or sells it, he shall make restitution of 5 oxen for an ox or 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief is caught breaking in after dark and is struck by the owner so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But if the sun has risen, there will be blood guilt for him. The thief, if he lives, must make full restitution. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold as a slave to make restitution for his theft. If the animal that he stole is found alive in his possession, whether it is an ox or a donkey or sheep, he shall pay double for it. If a man causes a field or vineyard to be grazed bare, or lets his livestock loose so that it grazes in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard. Just using simple kindness and common sense. If something happens, pay restitution towards it, right? If a fire breaks out and spreads to thorn bushes so that the stacked grain or standing grain or the field is consumed, he who started the fire shall make full restitution. If a man gives his neighbor money or other goods to keep for him while he is away, and it is stolen from the neighbor's house, then if the thief is caught, he shall pay double for it. If the thief is not caught, the owner of the house shall appear before the judges who act in God's name to determine whether or not he has stolen the neighbor's goods. For every offense involving property, whether it's ox, donkey, sheep, or clothing, or any other piece of property which another identifies as his, the case of both parties shall come before the judge who act in God's name. Whomever the judges pronounce guilty shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man gives his neighbor a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any other animal to keep for him, and if he dies or is injured and is taken away while no one is looking, then an oath before the Lord shall be made by the two of them that he has taken his neighbor's property, and the owner shall accept his word and not require him to make restitution. But if it's actually stolen from him when in his care, he shall make restitution to its owner. If it is torn to pieces by some predator or by accident, let him bring the mangled carcass as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what was torn to pieces. And if a man borrows an animal from his neighbor and it gets injured or dies while his owner is not with him, the borrower shall make full restitution. You borrow your neighbor's lawnmower and you destroy it and it breaks, you shall make restitution. Even if it's an old lawnmower and it's going to break anyways, you shall make full restitution. But if the owner is with it when the damage is done, the borrower shall not make restitution. If it was hired, the damage is included in the price of its fee. Same thing for today's principle, for today's day in borrowing things from your neighbor. Various laws. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he must pay a dowry, marriage price for her to be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay money equivalent to the dowry of virgins. You shall not allow a woman who practices sorcery to live. You shall not allow a woman who practices sorcery to live. Anybody doing witchcraft, no, that's not good. Whoever lies with an animal must be put to death. He who sacrifices to any god other than to the Lord shall be put under a ban designated for destruction, execution. You shall not wrong a stranger or oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt too. Because he remembers that, right? You shall not harm or oppress any widow or fatherless child. If you harm or oppress them in any way, and they cry out at all to me for help, I will most certainly hear your cry. And my wrath shall be kindled and burned, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows and your children fatherless. If you lend money to any one of my people who is poor, you shall not act as a creditor, a professional moneylender to him. You shall not charge him interest. If you ever take your poor neighbor's robe and pledge, you must return it to him before sunset. For that is his only covering, it is his clothing for his body, and what shall he sleep with? And when he cries to me for help, I will hear him, for I am compassionate and gracious. You shall not curse God, nor curse the rulers of the people, since he administers God's law, and you shall not delay the offering from your harvest and your vintage. Don't delay the offerings. Don't hold back when you're tithing. Don't just say, well, let me just hold on and wait till this happens. No, make sure you do it right away. You shall give, consecrate, and dedicate to me the firstborn of your sons. You shall do the same with your oxen and your sheep, and it shall be with its mother for 7 days. And on the 8th day, you shall give it as an offering to me. You shall be holy men to me. Therefore, you shall not eat meat from any animals that has been torn to pieces by predators in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. This is your daily Bible chapter reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.